Yeah, my name is Ethan Smith, and I'm studying mechanical engineering at George Fox University.
And my name is Christian Brenton, and I'm studying civil engineering at George Fox University as well.
Great, thank you so much. Ethan, I'll start with you. How did you get into Invent Oregon?
Yeah, so our school has something called Servant Engineering, which is basically a junior design program. And our project was selected as one of the two teams that was able to go to InventOR.
Christian, I'll follow up with you. What does servant engineering mean, and what kind of legacy does it have at George Fox?
Yeah, so much like the name implies, it's all about serving the community in different needs and different ways, and every project is unique to some professor and what they have in their heart. And so it really gives the students also get to choose what project they want to do. So you can kind of choose like whatever's on your heart, wherever you want to help. You can kind of direct your focuses towards that area. And then once you get your project, it's all about working with either a client or working with your professor to help in some area, applying the knowledge that you learned through school, which I think is a very cool opportunity, taking what you learn in classes and applying it to the real world, and using that stuff to help serve the community, which I think is the coolest part to me.
Did you guys work with a faculty lead or a faculty advisor at George Fox over the course of the program?
We did, yes.
Can you tell me who are they, what's their name, and how did they support you?
So her name was Kate Frisch, and she's one of the biomedical professors at George Fox. And I guess her area was, she likes to compost, and so she was into the MicroSustainability area. And basically once a week, we would meet with her to present what progress we've made on the project. Well, in the beginning, it all started off with like planning and design and stuff. And so she would originally help us with ideas, and we'd throw things around with her, and she'd be like, yeah, this and that. And we'd kind of just talk about things. But as we begin to progress the project itself, we would bring her our progress, and she would kind of brainstorm and shoot ideas off with us and say, hey, this might be challenging here, or hey, this is a good idea here. And then based off that feedback, we'd go back and change things or move on with things. So stuff like that.
Oh, what kind of impact do you think that had on the evolution of your project?
So every person in the team brings their own ideas, and everyone has their own experiences. And I know, given our project of composting, Kate does have a lot of experience in composting. So she was able to help guide us in certain areas that we may not know as much about it, as well as give us like user feedback, because she composts. So she knows things that would be easy for her, things that would be hard for her, things that she likes to see in projects. So we used her along with other interviews that we took in order to figure out different areas of what we wanted to do with our project.
Great, that's great. Sounds like she was a good support for you. I hear you mentioning compost. Let's talk about your invention. What is MicroSustainability?
So I believe the true definition is small environmental impacts that will have a greater effect on the earth itself. And so given that parameter, we kind of picked an area of where we thought we could, or where we thought we wanted to help out. And that area was in the area of food waste, and how landfills take up a lot of space, and how there's so much we can do with our food waste that like is not being done because it's too hard for people to do. They don't have the space. That was a big issue. Like people in apartments don't have an area to go dig a hole and dump their food waste. I mean, they need something. So our whole idea was trying to bring the composting to the people that don't have availability, who can't compost, who want to start, who want to have an impact on the environment, but don't know where to start, kind of thing. So that's what we were shooting for.
Ethan, I'll kick it back to you. How exactly do you envision helping people who may not have the means to compost to actually facilitate that process for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with this product, one of our goals is to make it, affordable so people can actually, afford it, and that it's accessible to people of different demographics and living situations. So that's, making it, obviously financially affordable, but also, a size and I guess to be that it's simple enough and intuitive enough that people are able to use it without too much training and whatnot. So that's been our goal all throughout the process. And I think even throughout InventOR, we're going to be trying to develop our prototype into something that's a little bit more convenient for people.
Yeah, there's a key word in there, prototype. I'm glad you brought that up. Part of the requirement for Invent Oregon is that you bring a prototype to present. Do you have an idea? I know you're probably pretty early on in the process, but do you have an idea of what that prototype is going to be?
Yeah, so we actually have a bit of a prototype right now. It's pretty raw, but it basically performs each of the steps that we need in the sequence of composting. We just need to integrate all those parts together. So I think what we're hoping to deliver by the end of InventOR is a more polished copy of that. And so essentially it takes food waste and then it takes it through the full composting process. Yeah, and so that's what we're hoping to deliver is kind of a pretty polished prototype of the composting device itself.
So I'm imagining what is essentially a large capacity compost bin. Am I right in thinking that?
So one of our goals is specifically that it's small enough that it is able to fit, even inside a house or inside an apartment, maybe even potentially in a kitchen. And obviously there's issues with that, such as like smell and just even the space that it takes up. But we're hoping to be able to minimize those factors through a variety of steps that we're taking to contain the compost and accelerate the rate of decomposition so that it's not taking as long to decompose.
I think obviously we're in a pretty critical time from an environmental standpoint, but I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what problem MicroSustainability addresses and why you think it's important.
I think, one of the really cool things about MicroSustainability is that it focuses on allowing individual people to have an impact in the greater environmental good. So it's really, I think it's a matter of stewardship in empowering people to be able to have a hand in that change in our world. So I think that's a really cool niche that MicroSustainability focuses on. And that does add up to a collective larger impact, but it starts with those smaller things. So I think that's a really fun thing to get behind.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the bigger context about how composting fits in with solutions to food waste for one, and perhaps to climate change for another.
Yeah. So for sure, I guess reducing the amount of food waste that goes into landfills is a big part of our original design problem, and I think there's a large amount of compostable food waste that does just go directly to landfills right now. So we're hoping to be able to repurpose that and use it for, rich nutrient soil that can be used for growing other plants. And that does add up to a impact on, I guess the atmosphere and the environment and reducing the gases that are going into it from the landfills. So.
Great, that's great. So thinking about Invent Oregon specifically and bringing a product to market, what are some of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you foresee?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges that we're going to face just through this design phase are just taking all of our components that we have currently and that these ideas that we have and integrating them together into a coherent and cohesive project. I think there's a lot of work that goes into that. So just making something that is simple and intuitive for people to use. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but accomplishes what we need it to. I think that will be probably some of the biggest challenges that we'll face throughout this.
You have a pretty big team. It's a little bit bigger than some of the other teams that I've been interviewing of late. I'm wondering how you put everybody together, how you met one another, how you connected.
Yeah, so our team was actually assembled at the beginning of the fall semester by the faculty, and they put together our team kind of based on just a spread across STEM majors, specifically within the College of Engineering. So we have mechanical engineers, we have civil engineers, and we have electrical engineer. So it's really helpful to have that kind of like diverse experience. Everybody brings a little bit of a different perspective. And I think that's one of the things that has allowed us to really get to this place in the project so far. And we're going to be really tapping into, I guess, each person's unique skill set, especially as we're trying to finish up the design here. So I think now more than ever, it's really helpful to have that full skill set.
That's great. What do you, I'll ask both of you. I'll start with Ethan. What do you hope to get out of your experience at InventOR Oregon?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm hoping to get most out of this experience is just a practical introduction to what it means to even work in a design team and to go through this creative process together, and how we can do that most efficiently, and even to get some more exposure, I guess, into maybe the business or economic side of what it means to design a new product. So those are some of the things that I'm hoping to get out of this.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say exactly what Ethan was. My biggest draw to this was the application of our knowledge from classes into the real world scenarios. And specifically with InventOR, now it's like we have financial backing. And so the ability to innovate and to produce this product and then like bring it from our visions into like an actual reality, as well as work on things like marketing, because if we have this product, we have to get it out there. And so the business side of things that we'll have to face is also something that I was looking forward to. So
looking back, let's say you wrap up the competition in June, or you're getting ready to wrap up the competition in June. What is the most important thing that you want judges to understand about your invention? And what will set you apart from the competition?
I think, one of the most important things about our product is that it is focused on, the user. And I think that's maybe one of the things that sets it apart. And through this process of I guess, getting to where we are today, we've spent a lot of time, focusing on like human-centered design and learning about what that means. Or even just designing for, I guess, addressing a particular problem that people are experiencing in composting. So I think that's one of the things that really sets our product apart.
Yeah, and I'd also say like the inclusion of people that can't compost, that want to compost. So like bringing all those people together. So yeah, bringing the community together to help with those small individual impacts that will affect the greater good is what I think our project will be known for.
Awesome. I'm going to ask one quick follow-up because I'm thinking about it. I think that was Christian who was just talking about. I'm sorry, I can't see on my screen. But you said you're focused on the user, and there are folks who want to compost but can't. Have you done a lot of market research? I'm kind of curious to see what kind of interest there is in composting and what people are really looking for in terms of solutions that they need. I'm wondering if you have any knowledge about that. That you've done so far?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, our first semester in this class was based off brainstorming ideas and research. And so one of the things that we did as a team is we created a survey that asked a bunch of in-depth questions about like, would you compost, would you not? And then it kind of broke down into different sections, like how come you do compost, how come you don't compost, what would make composting easier, what are some hard parts about composting. So I just really went into this idea of individual compost and what people would want to see. And also a big focus was why people don't compost. So we got things like where they live, how many people in their household, how big the household, as in like, is it an apartment, is it a house, is it like on campus dorms, and then the reasoning behind whether they do or don't compost. So we did put out that survey and got a good amount of responses. So that's where we got a lot of that from.
Cool. Are there any trends that you noticed as a result of the survey?
A lot of people that didn't compost due to sheer like space that they didn't have, because a lot of the ways that people compost now is like you dig a trench out back. Like people that live on land, it's easier for them because they have a spot they can designate to composting. But if you don't have that space, you're just not motivated to go to the local compost or to go somewhere far away. So it's mainly trends of people that are in apartments or that want to start composting but don't have the space.